See about Dr. Madhusudan. See about Dr. Madhusudan. Just waiting. 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 Dr. Madhusudan. Just waiting. Just waiting. Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to Hyderabad Today Conclave, hosted by Delhi Public Schools, Pallavi Group of Schools and Colleges. On behalf of our Chairman, Shri M. Komreya Sir, Director, Mrs. Pallavi, COO, Mr. Yashasvi, Academic Director, Dr. T. Sudha, we extend a very, very warm welcome to all the panelists today for Learning Gaps at NEP 2020, along with the parents, principals, teachers, students, and members from all walks of life. From blackboards to digital boards, we have certainly come a long way. The world is undergoing rapid changes in the knowledge landscape. There has been definitely a gradual shift from heavy reliance on content to learning how to learn. It is pivotal to address these changes and cater to the future. That is what we as educationists stand tall. Our chairman, Shri M. Komreya Sir, a green energy manager, a visionary educationist, has been in this field of education for more than 3 decades. Having conceptualized Hyderabad Today Conclave, wherein eminent personalities come on a single platform to discuss the modalities required. Today, we are very happy to have our eminent guest for the day, Professor Madhusudan JV, Head Department of Education and Education Technology and Director, Center for Digital Learning Resources and Training, University of Hyderabad, one of the universities conferred with Institute of Eminent status. He also worked for Northeastern Hill University, Meghalaya, and also at National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj at Hyderabad. He is currently member of Educational Research and Innovations Committee of NCRT and member Academic Advisory Committee of NIOS and Swayam platform. His areas of specialization are demography of schooling, early childhood education, and education technology. He has to his credit good number of publications. Professor Madhusudan is a valuable resource person and delivers skill-based sessions on e-learning, blended learning, and so on. A warm welcome to Dr. Madhusudan JV. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Madhusudan is a valuable resource person and delivers skill-based sessions on e-learning, blended learning, and so on. A warm welcome to Dr. Madhusudan JV. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Madhusudan is a valuable resource person and delivers skill-based sessions on e-learning, blended learning, and so on. A warm welcome to Dr. Madhusudan JV. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Madhusudan is a valuable resource person. Dr. Madhu Vaid, Principal Director, Emotional Resilience, Blended Learning, a blazing and enthusiastic. A warm welcome to leader, Dr. Madhusudan. 32 years of experience of leading prestigious schools in the name of Dr. Madhu Vaid, Vidya Mandirs, Emotional Vidya Mandirs with Vidya Bharati, Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Sansthan, running around Dr. Madhu's 32 years branches. So much of passionate about value-based learning. Dr. Madhu Vaid, 32 years of expertise in teaching and research of English literature, and informed while running around administration of 19 years in different capacities about value-based. Ma'am has been a director in leading schools in Haryana, Punjab and Delhi. Mandis working with NGOs, NIOS, NCRT and other reputed organizations. Dr. Madhu Ved capacities has received Bharatna Award and 32 years International Asia Pacific Education Award at Bangkok IC. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhu Ma'am. Madhu Ved accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much.
Bharatna Award and 32 Haryana. Punjab, Neema Daniel, recipient of Delhi State Award for Teachers. Thank you so much, CBSE, Dr. Madhu Ved. Accepting Ma'am has initiated the Indo-German exchange program and for students and teachers under the Robert Bosch Foundation. Ma'am is appointed as the model examiner of CPSE for Maths and Communication Award. English appointed as initiative coordinator for collection of evidences. Alex Daniel has been the Robert Bosch Foundation. Ma'am is appointed as One Delhi and has been the principal of St. Paul's School, Horsehurst. Ma'am has been coordinator 2010 and ever executive Alex Daniel has been a recipient of remarkable principal of One Delhi and where the principal of St. Paul's. Ma'am has received National President Young. Ma'am has been the president of National President of Young Women's recipient of Association by the principal of One Delhi and Ma'am has declared a master of Saudi. Ma'am has thank you so much Ma'am for accepting our invitation for part of panel member recipient of the discussion on learning gaps. Master of Ma'am has thank you so much Mrs. Aarti Girdhar, founder and president of Anon. Thank you so much Mrs. Aarti for accepting the invitation. Global Foundation Learning Gap promoted by Ms. Aarti, a philanthropist and educationist. With Mrs. Aarti Girdhar, founder and president for Anon. Master in MD psychology is working on mental and mental health learning gaps, promoted especially for children and education and youth. He is also a member of advisory and implementation committee for University Extension and outreach as Dennis, especially for Dwarka and education and youth. He is also a member of World Summit Implementation 2020 with a specialization in clinical psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. Dwarka is committed to and youth and is innovation member for educators of World Summit and Evolve. Thank you so much, Ms. Aarti, for accepting the psychology there on the panel today. On National Education Policy 2020 member in issues for educators of defining the education system. Thank you so much, Ms. Aarti, 2020 accepting live and ensure that everyone has equal access to quality education. National education in today's world, India is heading to have the highest quality of finding people education. The opportunity so much that they accept potential govern the direct everyone the future of our nation. Quality education to ensure that all the gaps India is heading to have the highest quality of 2020 courses so much that that AI on the and from our future member Dr. Madhu Ved, Director GPS, the Kelly, author and president speaker, to kindly speak on the topic. Ma'am, I would like to have your views on on the role of stakeholders in accommodating the learning gaps and administrators overview. And President Dr. Madhuved, kindly speak on the topic. Ma'am, I would like to have your views on the role of stakeholders in accommodating the
Ma'am, there is a lot of noise, ma'am. Ma'am, there is a lot of voice disturbance. There is a lot of disturbance.
Ma'am, when it's going on YouTube, na, then we need to mute. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. On to you.
Yeah, according to me, like I think that it's a time we need to have patience, and not only like after closure of schools, 18 months, and before and after that also, there were dark clouds around. So what to do? We need to have patience. I remember the lines of our late president. If you want to look handsome, give your hand to someone. So that is what we require. Instead of giving hands, instead of judging, we should go for the acceptance. This is a time of hand holding. And I will say Rome is not built in a day. So we know these are our children. These are our assets. And we need to work. And alone, we can't. We need to have stakeholders among us. And I am so proud. We are Indians first. And whenever we need, we always ready to help each other. So this is a time of hand holding, I see. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your views on the role of stakeholders definitely shows the importance that the educational institutions have equal responsibility along with the stakeholders, because today's world expects a lot from 360 degrees. If the education field has to live up to the promises that we need to keep, I think it's a combined effort of all the stakeholders of the institution. We have our panel member, Mrs. Rema Alex Daniel. Ma'am is going to throw light on NEP, a policy and pedagogical shift towards bridging the learning gaps. Ma'am, on to you with your expert advice, having worked with the prominent schools in Delhi and NCR, and having worked with right from the primary till grade 12 and further on. And I'm sure you would be the right person to throw light on this subtopic. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you, Nandita, for giving me this opportunity to speak on learning gaps. All of us agree that all students are not alike. Some are above average, some average, and some not up to the mark. Not only that, some are highly motivated and some not highly motivated. To add to that, we also know that we have children with multiple intelligences sitting in the same class. So when we have 40 students in a class that have all these factors to be taken into consideration, we know that one size doesn't fit all. And it leads to their having learning gaps. To add to that, due to COVID restrictions, we had online classes, and that added another type of challenge. So what is a learning gap? A learning gap is a disparity between what a student has actually mastered and what is expected at their particular grade level. Good schools follow the system of having an entry level and an exit level. The class teacher is expected to write the profile of each student with strengths and weaknesses and passes it on to the next teacher. And this profile is maintained by the school till the student leaves the school. This is an ideal way of finding out the aptitude of a student also to a large extent. Schools do refer to this while allotting streams in senior secondary classes. But majority of the schools may not be following such systems, and this proves to be detrimental to the students. Now, let us focus on the learning gaps. The first gap that comes to my mind is that of knowledge gap. To put it in simple words, students lack the proper information needed to learn. The reasons could be multifarious: financial challenges, not understanding the concepts in certain subjects, lack of gadgets during COVID to attend online classes, etc. An easy way to eliminate knowledge gap is to ensure the child is provided with the correct material needed to learn. Then comes the skill gaps. Students lack the practice necessary to develop their skills. Again, the reasons could be many as to why this happens. They may not have the support from parents. They may not have the money to attend extra classes. Some may not have the courage to clear a doubt in the class. And schools may not be arranging remedial classes, etc. We know that practice makes a child perfect. Ensure each child has the time and resources they need to hone their skills. Third in line is the communication gap. Students lack clear and effective communication. The 4 basic skills of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Whether the student is in an English medium school or a vernacular school, the ability to communicate is something that is of paramount importance. Proper learning cannot happen if there is communication gap between the teacher and the students. The instructions may be incorrect. The instructions could be poorly articulated, or they can even be vague. The student can misinterpret the instructions. A classic example of this is when a student is given a particular task in an exam and the answer that is given by the student is totally tangential. So this is on account of the misinterpretation of instructions. Fourth comes the environmental gaps. Students lack a supportive learning environment. Too much noise around, too many distractions, not having a safe and a secure and quiet place to study. These could be many of the reasons, especially if a child is coming from a one-room tenement without proper ventilation or lighting. How can you expect the child to be proficient in her subjects or his subjects? Then the 5th one is the motivation gap. Students lack the intrinsic motivation or the incentive to learn. Sometimes a student knows what they need to do and how to do it, yet they still don't do it. Many children struggle with motivating themselves to complete a task or pay attention in school. In short, motivation gaps often prevent students from meeting their learning goals. Again, the reasons could be lure for making quick money, follow the trade or the business of the family, lack of parental support. They don't see the bigger picture, or it doesn't make sense to them. They are not interested in making an effort. They may be anxious or concerned about change. They are used to doing things differently and don't see the point in unlearning old ways. Once you understand the gaps, you can develop strategies to tackle it. Make learning fun. According to NEP, they say learning by doing, experiential learning, hands-on learning. The terminology may be different, but how many schools are taking pains to come out of the chalk and the talk kind of teaching and make the students active participants and the teacher being a facilitator. Use rewards to motivate. Now the schools can decide what are the incentives that can motivate the students. Teach time management skills. Even while doing classwork, time the task, whether it is a group work or whether it is a quiz or whatever, they have to be timed. Adjust the curriculum, which is possible till class 8. Focus on languages and mathematics, and that too the essential concepts, and eliminate possible distractions. Distractions in the form of gadgets, even friendships, and rethink the teaching methodology. The very important goal of a teacher is to make learning a happy, joyful experience. Are we as teachers motivated? Do we have the time, the initiative, or the inclination to take out 30 minutes per day, per subject to prepare for our classes? And what are the strategies we use to make learning a joyful experience? And what about evaluation? Do we have more of formative assessments rather than the summative ones? And while framing questions, what percentage of the questions are the lower order thinking skill questions, and what percentage belongs to the higher order thinking skill questions? And do we analyze the answers to find out about the learning gap? Be consistent in our efforts as teachers. Don't give up. Even if we make a change in the life of a single student, with our efforts, it is worth it. So let us have that positive outlook and do our best to make the change in a student's life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rema ma'am. You've been my mentor over these years. And I know the very fact that how to think and not what to think is important in today's world. And that is what I think NEP 2020 has brought in. And we are very proud that Prime Minister advocates the same. Yes, definitely not enough of practice. A lot of courage to clear the doubt in the class is very, very important. I think that is something we need to teach our children to become very resilient. And yes, using rewards to motivate and removing a lot of distractions, and definitely creating a joyful learning is the need of the hour. Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving on, I would like to just say that generally speaking, of course, we've all come to know at this juncture that learning gap refers to the relative performance of the individual students. That is the disparity between what a student has actually learned and what he or she is expected to learn at a particular age or a grade level. Moving on, we have our panelists, Mrs. Aarti Girdhar, a psychologist and working with the NGO. Thank you so much, Ms. Aarti. The topic that you would be dealing would be psychosocial factors, its impact on learning gaps. The platform is yours, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. And again, thank you, Rema ma'am and Nandita ma'am. You both are my mentors. So it is extremely important to identify the psychosocial factors that widen the learning gap in students. These days, when we are talking about health, mostly we perceive it as physical health, but it's all about psychosocial health that include body, mind, and social. It's about mental, means what we are thinking about, social, what we are relating to, whom we are relating to ourselves, to others, then emotional, that what we are feeling about, how we are conveying our feeling and emotions to others. And the last one, that is actually a difficult one, is the spiritual being, where we find our purpose of being happy, whatever we are doing. So these factors can have a significant impact on the students' ability to learn and can lead to long-term consequences if left unaddressed. So psychosocial factors refers to the complex interplay between psychological and social factors that influence student behavior, emotions, and cognitive development. These factors include family background, this socioeconomic status, cultural norms and belief, and individual psychological traits such as student at times look into their self-esteem, body image, self-acceptance, and of course, the motivation that ma'am has talked about. Today's world that Nandita ma'am has mentioned that we have shifted from blackboard to digital board. That is why there are things that are coming up in the mind. There is a lot of information around. Filtering that information is very, very important. So identifying these factors can anchor and can help educators and policymakers to develop targeted intervention that address the root cause of learning gaps and create a more equitable and inclusive learning environment. It also helps to prevent students from failing behind, experiencing negative academic and social outcomes such as low esteem that we have talked about. We as educators, when identify psychosocial factors, then we only work upon well-being of our students. Let's not widen the learning gap among students by only focusing on the subject matter. We are living in the world of information, and now it is all more crucial for us to teach students about information filtration, because at the click of the button, they can search anything, and then lot of information, they do not know how to look into these information. So it's very crucial role for the teachers and parents to train them mentally that you are around this kind of information and you don't have enough time to give your attention to everything. So it's very important to filter the information and focus on your purpose. NEP 2020 says reduce curriculum content to enhance learning and critical thinking. To my surprise, I have been to more than 134 schools pan-India, but most of the teachers still complain about time constraint. They say that they can't incorporate experiential learning because then they can't finish up the syllabus. What I found during my workshop, the teachers are still using that old method of rote learning and teaching, and hence they cannot connect with the psychological emotions that the child is undergoing. What is the need of NEP 2020, which is such an amazing approach towards education, if our teachers are not working on the parameters like collaboration, self-initiation, self-directional, teamwork approach? Because all these, if we follow, then definitely student will find how to cope up with all sort of emotions. Forget about past, forget about pandemic, talk about today. Let's start connecting the dots of EQ, IQ, SQ with real life. Emotional question, your intelligence question, and the social question, very important to reflect all. And that is why it's very important for educators to explain and train the parent also about these issues, because most of the time parents are talking about the student are not getting the marks academic, but what about the EQ? Are we talking during the PTM to the parents about their EQ also? So experiential and integrated learning will definitely take care of the learning gaps that are cause of concern today. So I feel I have talked about a lot about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aarti. Yes, definitely the learning gaps in their tendency, if left unaddressed, to compound over time and become more severe and pronounced, which can actually increase the chances that a student will struggle academically and socially, all become a dropout of the school, which our intention as academician is to work and ensure that everybody has all the three combination of IQ, EQ, and SQ. Wonderfully put up in a nutshell to say that NEP definitely reduces the curriculum only to enhance the learning. Ultimate aim is definitely collaborating and self-directional. So thank you so much, Ms. Aarti. We do have a few questions that have come up in the chat box. However, before I proceed and take it up as a question and answer round for all the members, I would just like to add a couple of words to say that many teachers have over the years compared, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic as, the learning gap at the grade level. Seeing the areas where the students are more or less proficient allows the teachers to create a tailor-made lesson plans at time and address these learning gaps. But sometimes this also means that creating a unique learning experience is very, very important for each child that fits either probably a different kind of a learning style, or it meets their unique needs. Yes, we do have a few questions in hand. We have one for Mrs. Daniel. Ma'am, I think you could probably take this up as a question that policy makers, do you think, are the right agency that make changes vis-a-vis practitioners to address learning gaps?
It all depends. If the policy makers are working in tandem with the ones who are working at the grassroots and know the real problems or what are the problems that they are encountering on a day-to-day basis, and they link it with the policy and make a curriculum, it works better. But if people who are very, very learned, who have worked in colleges and the elite schools, when they make a policy, it may not be that relevant for a school that is situated in one of the tribal areas. So the idea when a policy is made, it should be a cooperation and a collaboration and between the policymakers and the ones who are really working at the grassroots level. But when it comes to a policy decision, many of the things are beyond us. We should always focus on what is within our purview to make a change. So let us look at things which are within our control and make a change, rather than finding fault with the policy or what is given to us either by the board or by the Directorate of Education or by the government. So our focus should be on working on areas that are within our control and see how best we can do that and make a change.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that gives us with the next question. I think Madhu ma'am, you could probably take up this question. How can parents pitch in to overcome the learning gaps that exist?
Yeah, as we all know that there are two sides of the coin. One are we all educators, and the second side is, of course, parents, along with other stakeholders. And I believe, nowadays we need to work on ourselves as parents. Why I'm saying so? Because the last time, like previously, what used to do is we just worked on the homework, knowledge part more. And now, as NEP says, and we also know that we are looking forward to employability also. We're also looking forward to the mental health, as ma'am has mentioned. We can't ignore EQ also, SQ also, along with IQ. So if we talk about our previous primitive ages, then homework, examination were the only, yardsticks. And the children who got 99%, 18, 98% marks, we used to applaud them. But now, parents' role is very significant, very important. I feel that they must listen to what the child says. This is really a big question. And if I explain my experiences, I have seen many parents, they just, like create problems when the child is not wearing their choice of dresses, when the child is eating something like non-veg or junk food, and they create problems. So instead of helping a child out, they so now I don't think that I am I will, with my apologies, I will say that we need to give a chance to children to think on themselves rather than be dictators. Secondly, because of the shrinkage of joint families, and children, they look at us all the time, parents, what we are doing and are doing, regularly attending the schools and be the active members wherever the school needs. Also, when there are PTMs, when there are PTAs, and when there are something like giving time to children, children feel very encouraged and motivated when their parents are involved in the curriculum development and curriculum implementation also. If I come forward with an example, in my school, there was one girl who was very good in 10th class, but unfortunately, she was not able to get good marks. So we encouraged the parents. Parents were not interested in that the child should continue with humanities, but they were adamant. They just switched over to science stream because the mother is a dentist, and mother wanted her to continue with the medical line. This is one example I'm sharing, just as a, like the other parents might learn from that. So we encourage the child to just work on the aptitude of a child. So we had so many counseling sessions, not only one parent, for many parents, they came. So my request to parents here is they must come when we are talking about the learning gaps. They must come forward and share openly with their other stakeholders and the teachers. So, that girl, she took Sanskrit as an optional subject and sixth subject. And now I am proud to share here on this platform. The child has topped Kalindi College in Sanskrit language. So here what I mean to say is just accept the system. NEP is for us, and widely talked upon or researched upon this document is. So our role as parent, we are parents also, being the educator ones. So thing is, when how the parents can help, they can go, they can visit. Like if I talk, I am frequent flyer to US and working in New York, and I worked in Stanford University as a volunteer. There I realized one thing, how we are required as parents to move with the kids. So there is a school, Daniel Webster, and I was so good. And in fact, this is transformation of my thoughts also, how we should work as parents. So not only, with if we talk about emotional health, I feel there holistic learning we are talking about, holistic growth we are talking about. So why are we running only after core subjects? This is my question. So there are many other subjects, fashion designing. There are so many other subjects which the children like, and I am so proud, and I am just open to share here on this platform that their parents, they never check their parents, like their children, for just small things. They just share whatever the problems parents are like suffering in their, some are broken homes, and some are, like we are talking, the world is inclusion. Now some children are not especially able in their class. I am so surprised, and I'm so good, feeling good now. Parents come to school as volunteer, and they help the kids to grow. and they are studying in the mainstream. So it is good that parents can do wonders, I think, not only checking the copies, homework, and preparing the children for examination. Without parents, their schools are nothing. Educational institutes are nothing, absolutely. So I believe that Guru Govind Dau Khade Kake Lagu Paan. And who is the first Guru? First Guru is mother. And mother knows so many things. I know so many mothers from my school lobbies. We have 21 branches here in Delhi. And, we have around 14,000 children. We are catering to these kind of system. Like we are working on that. Like yoga is very important for us. The other ancient wisdom that is also through parents we can get. As ma'am has just mentioned that we have only limited time in the school, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and so much of academic pressure is there. And we are towards teachers. I think the teacher need a rope to lean on. Buildings were closed, everything was closed, but our teaching did not close. We kept teaching and teaching, but of course there are so gaps, so many, we all understand, but Rome is not built in a day. So parents, my request to you is just come forward, come move with the system. System is not away from you. You and us, we make the schools, universities. So let's join hands to grow them beautifully. No child is bad, no child is weak, no child is we are saying that no child is this child is not doing anything, is a failure. I don't believe in failure. No child can be failed. So thank you very much, parents. Please don't excuse me if you don't agree with my words, with my views, but I believe EQ and SQ are much more important than IQ in present scenario. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think your views on instilling values so importantly, EQ and SQ is given such a lot of importance. And further to that, introduction of vocational skills as a subject in the institutions have brought in new hope and the kind of subjects that prepare the children for the world ahead. Thank you so much. And we have next question that has come from Ms. Evita. This is for, good evening, ma'am, a question to Aarti, ma'am. It says, what policies and procedures can be implemented to minimize the impact of psychosocial factors on student learning?
Great question, ma'am. Psychosocial factors such as stress, anxiety, depression can have significant impact on on students' learning. Schools and educational institutions can implement few of the policies and procedures to minimize this impact. See, who are the policy makers? It is we who suggest the things, and basically the private schools and all that, they can just devise new thing. They can go ahead, try it and test, and definitely the schools have the right to make certain kind of changes that make an impact on the society or the school or the child. So few of the suggestions from my side is the awareness of mental health and life skills. Students these days are impacted by social media, their peer and their self-image that they make in mind. So it is very important for all schools to make the student understand what mental health and life skills are and how to have a healthy and happy mind. Because once you are happy, your exams, you can do it well. Whatever challenges you are facing, you can do it, face it in a beautiful way. So it's very important to have a healthy mind, healthy body, and focus, and everything will improve the moment you are healthy from here. Fine. The second thing that I want to talk about is foster a positive school culture, emphasizing support, kindness, and empathy through activities like community service, team building exercises, mental health awareness campaign will help the student to understand their minds behaving in a certain manner. So students start talking about their emotions that they are undergoing inside. And definitely we don't want our student to become pressure cooker or ekdam se they burst out with emotion. So it's very important to work on it. Inculcating, the third one is inculcating sports, music, and art as compulsory subject areas that can cater better learning and also the psychosocial problem that student may be undergoing. Why I am saying so? Because these three areas, because me being a teacher for the past 2 decades, I have seen that I feel my subject is very important. Taking the sports class and music class and art class, I feel it's my right. I have seen maths teacher also, science teacher also taking up these subject classes. So these sports, music, art, these three develop lot of psychosocial, emotional balance in the child. When you do it, you will understand. When you dive, then you understand कि swimming कैसे करनी है. So that is why it's very important. Pick up any one area, either sports, music, and art, and dive into it. You will feel lot of stress management, time management, team building, everything you will understand. All these life skills you will understand through this. So academic is important, but this area is also very, very crucial as far as stress management is concerned. The fourth one is encouraging healthy lifestyle. Sensitizing student about regular exercise, good nutrition, positive communication, because we have seen a lot of bullying happening in the classes. They are picking their words from Netflix and all that. So it's very important that school should maintain that positive communication culture. Then adequate sleep. Students are waking throughout their night. Their body clock is being shifted. So till this teenage, it is not being impacted, but soon after they will realize that what they have done, because once the body clock change, then everything inside the physiologic, everything will change. So it's very important to understand the importance of early to bed and early to rise. That can reduce stress and improve mental health.
Thank you so much, Aarti. I think before you pick up the fifth point, I definitely want to put it up that NEP 2020 has laid a lot of stress on art integration, music integration, sports integration. I think we've been doing this for years together and over the decades. And yes, we know how, listening to music, listening to the waves, we've started connecting it to sound as a chapter, and light as a chapter, and focal length as a chapter. So I think all these trial and errors that children have done in their normal life now have been put up on a formal platform, and integrating science into understanding the regular subjects, and having an interdisciplinary approach also. Now we know that, the summer projects or the winter projects basically revolve around integration of subjects or, interdisciplinary projects and all. I think that's giving a wonderful platform for the children to put it up. Yes, I think you can catch up with the fifth point that you were having in hand.
Yes. So my fifth point is monitor student progress, not only in terms of academic, but also in our psychosocial well-being. Early intervention can help prevent the problem from getting worse. So it's very important. What if you see a child who is sitting separately and having no friend and all that? So it's very important for the teacher to intervene and talk to the child. The child will not speak. Maybe he will express it through his art, through his music, through his sports and all that. Point number 6, encourage parental involvement. I have seen teachers saying that how can we be we can be creative, because parents are emphasizing on rote learning, because they are emphasizing on academic. So parent teacher conferences and other events play a very important role in giving child the belongingness to the school. Every time the parents are being called, the child at the early years, he is excited to bring the parent to the school. But as this child reaches to the adolescent, we have seen the child know what are the complaints that is going to happen. So it's very important to involve parent and tell them that we are working along with academic, we are working on EQ also of the child. And once the parent could be convinced, they will definitely look into the holistic approach of the child being a successful person in life.
Definitely. Yeah.
My last point, SEL programs in school, social and emotional learning. Activity-based program for students should be curated that promote self-awareness, self-regulation,
Perfect.
social awareness, decision-making, relationship skills, problem-solving, critical thinking, and so on. Through these programs, students open up with each other and learn how to cope with stress and manage their emotions. So by implementing these policies and procedures, I think they are very much aligned with NEP 2020, and this gap will reduce the moment we will be focusing on. There are many other points that you can look into, but these are the ones I feel to be focused first. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Aarti. I think in a nutshell, you had put it up all the points that are required for the socio-economic, socio-emotional, socio-intelligence, and I think society at large. And one question for Rema ma'am, and further to that, there's one from Harita Reddy that says, Rema ma'am, pedagogy plays a great role in bridging learning gaps. But kindly throw some light on implementation strategies in the classroom that we teachers can follow. I think that's a wonderful question. Yes. Yes.
Excellent question. The first step towards that, if you have to see a change in the teaching learning processes, the teacher should know each and every student. When I say that, I mean every word of that. There was a time when my son was in a particular school in Delhi, which had 50 students per section and 20 sections, I think. So with the result, there were 1,000 students in class 11 and 1,000 students in class 12. If you go for the PTM, you have to carry the diary of the child, the almanac of the child, because the teacher doesn't recognize the student. So when I say know your student, the moment the student knows that the teacher knows me, he knows me by my name. I am an identity. I have an identity. I am a human being who is being recognized as, whether it is Rama or Aarti or Nandita, I am there as an entity in the class. The moment the student recognizes that, there's going to be learning. Number two, as I said in my talk about finding out, identifying the strengths and the weaknesses. So if you find that a student has got a weakness in a particular area, in a particular concept, it is your duty to make time to ensure that learning gap is covered, it is bridged then and there, so that it doesn't go on making the gap wider as the child progresses from one class to the other. Now, it all depends upon what your subject is. If you are a history teacher, make storytelling part of your class rather than reading the lesson and explaining it and then saying, okay, let us go on to the questions. Question number one, answer to that is on page number so-and-so, paragraph starting from this line to this line. It doesn't make any sense. The others do dictate the answers in the class or write it on the blackboard. It becomes easier for the teacher to correct that, but it doesn't identify the learning gap. Ultimately, we want the students to be able to master the skills, whether it is of communicating, whether it is of writing. So they should be in a position to do that. Coming to other strategies that can be used. Now, each subject will have a different strategy. If we are a maths teacher, look at the things that are inside the classroom. And so if you are teaching a triangle or a rectangle or a parallelogram, I'm sure that you have examples within the class itself. So those who have got that visual intelligence will be in a position to say, okay, ma'am is speaking about this or sir is speaking about this. I can see, okay, here there is a triangle and I am going to find out whatever the angles or whatever of maths problem. So you have to think of ways and means of making that concept absolutely clear to the student. Then if as a teacher, you take 30 periods in a week and you don't have any spare time apart from performing all the other duties, can you think of a buddy system? A student who is good in a particular subject, who can help the other child. They learn cooperation, they learn collaboration, they learn how to share and care for the others. So for the buddy, it is a way of helping, and for the other child, it is a way of reinforcing whatever he has learned. So that these are some of the strategies, and it all depends on which subject you are teaching. Even having project-based learning using multiple intelligences. The entire class works on a project. So those who are good in verbal intelligence will write the script or the story or whatever. Somebody who is good in typing, keying it in, will use the computer and key it in. Somebody who is good in graphics or in the art bit of it will do the visual component of that, and everything put together, you have a project. So you are ensuring that all the 40 students in the class are involved in the teaching learning process. So these are some of the ways, because it can't be covered in 2 minutes time or 3 minutes time. So, but in a nutshell, these are some of the ways by which there can be some change in the pedagogical approach.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think the think, pair, share concept of having a group strategy and working on project-based and thinking beyond the textbook and majorly into application-based, I think projects definitely lead and take a leap in the approach itself. I actually would like to leave this question with all the three panelists out here so that I think anyone can pick it up. So is there a need for greater investment in early childhood care and elementary level education by educators, researchers and policymakers? So I just wanted you to reflect and share your views on this. Maybe I think all three of you can put it up. Yes, Aarti, would you like to just add a point or two? And then maybe I think Madhu ma'am and Rima ma'am can add this. Yes.
No need. I have seen, I have been a teacher of Eco Club also. I have seen there is so many things that we could find at our home. And if there are 40 students, they can bring in so many things from their home, and some collaborative project can be given that is useful, that is scientific, and that is best out of waste also. So the child can be very creative. There is YouTube videos available where a child from like a rural area, he has developed the things that even any urban child could never think of. So there is lot on this information that is there. There is lot over here. Just we need to grab the things, open our eyes, imagine whatever the things are there. So this is how we can have a sustainable environment also. And I also use a lot of props that are made from waste for teaching the teachers and the students. And it's quite helpful and appreciable also.
Thank you. Yes, Madhu ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I want to just additionally, I am speaking here. I think that our kitchen should be chemistry lab. You may laugh.
I think pandemic taught us a lot of things.
Yeah. Yes. And also I want, I normally had fight with my science teachers particularly like they don't want to take the children to lab. They just follow the CBSE curriculum, 2 days a week or 3 days a week. So I am not happy at all. I think when you are teaching some subjects like this, like ma'am has just mentioned, so the small things, for me small is big. Like when I see the people, I see the students who are according to our standards, who are in a diagnostic assessment, the children who are very poor in foundational numeracy and literacy also, but at home they are excellent, and they are social gatherings, like we had yoga drive in our schools. We also had once we had eco club meeting. And I would like to share here the role of stakeholders. Once a few years back, we were invited by that CM Sheila Dikshit ji under Eco Club. Aarti has reminded me of that. So we were so excited. We were given only a lot of 25 people. I discussed with my other management stakeholders, community people, NGO people. So we decided that one from each group stakeholders we will take with us, and ex-students. Our ex-students is also very powerful treasure with us. So we don't want to ignore them whenever there is something happening in the school. We went there, and Sheila Dikshit ji was so excited to meet all that. What happened and what are the benefits we got after that. And we can do all that at middle level, at elementary level, at up to like now board is eliminated, and then still, we can do so many experiments. When we went there, Quechua, first time in my life I saw it. There was forming of those worms, and everybody was so excited. And from there, when we came back along with the stakeholder and these stakeholders, we took them one, and now they're 100 after that. See how much treasure we got out of that, just with this thought, like we are not one and one are 11. And we got, like Eco Club, ma'am is saying Eco Club. So we are in my home also, I have 3,200 plants. So I expect these parents and children of middle level, elementary level, they can come forward, they can donate one podha, one plant, Sadabahar, Tulsi, or these kind of, and these should be a part of curriculum. It's a part of reviewing curriculum, I would say, like that. Like our chief minister, like we had DCPCR here for this gap filling thing, and we used to take test of class 3 and class 8. So according to pen and paper test, there are so many, like when we go for formal testing, diagnostic test, then the things are different. When we go informal, like we used to take our children, right now also we take them out for surveys. We, the child in our, like you can say like below 40%, like we are teachers, we can't ignore this percentage. For below 40%, they're excellent ballet dancer. Can you believe it? I invited them to my home and I said, I want to learn this dance, because there is no age, and the children get so motivated out of the, ma'am has just mentioned motivation. It is, if we all make, these are 5 fingers, and these, if we can make this with help of a community. Community is a good hub. So many learning resources, we can connect the dots easily. That only thing is time constraint. Ma'am said that 35-40 minutes in the class, we have to come forward. Rome is not built in a day, but we must be positive. William Shakespeare once said, I was crying, I had no shoes, when he saw a person without legs. His heart melt, same with me also, and same with all of us. Learning gaps are definitely, pinching us, but give the children time, give experts time. We all have to make it. A day is not far off when we will be Jagat Guru again. We will be excellent. Now we are rising, Today newspaper says China is looking forward to us, for our powerful policies. So education is the best thing there. We can come forward, and learning gaps is among all of us, all the stakeholders, not only on the teachers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Rema ma'am, would you like to add a couple of words into that topic?
So I think everybody has spoken a lot about it. I thought the question was on early childhood.
Early childhood, yes, ma'am.
So when we are talking about early childhood, we have to make investment, whether it is in the in terms of time or energy, because that is the foundational a step for the child. So if a child feels happy coming to school and doesn't want to miss the school, you are winning a point. So all that is within the purview of the management, of the school, of the teacher to make that happy learning experience. I have a grandchild who is 7 years old. Now, Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, with all its pollution, cold, cough, it's, it's rampant and it is there. So in case the child is stopped from going to the school, she says, what will ma'am think I want to go to the school? So that is where it all ends up. So whether we are creating that kind of a happy atmosphere where the child feels the need to go. So I think I end with that. So whatever investment, whether it is in the form of time, energy, initiative, warmth, affection, that if it can be invested on each and every child, then I think we are winning a point. With that, I would like to end. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We've been having the student Tanvi Tota of 8th B who's been wanting to ask a question. I think she has been messaging us again and again. Yes, Tanvi, I think we put you on spotlight. You can ask your question, dear.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. My question is for Mrs. Aarti Giridhar, ma'am. Ma'am, how important is it to identify the psychosocial factors that widen learning gap in students?
See, when you understand these emotions, we have negative emotions and positive emotions. So positive emotions are the ones who are most of the time are not in our head. We need to train ourselves for these positive emotions. So it's very important when we train ourselves with meditation, with focus, with all these things, our learning ability, our critical thinking, problem solving, everything improves. And definitely then the learning gap decreases. So it's a world of imagination. You need to imagine yourself, what is the purpose of your life? Because my fourth point that I was talking about is the spiritual. Students do not understand what spirituality means. So it's very important to move with the journey with happiness, and you will definitely be a positive person, and you will find your spirituality, your intelligence, everything at the end. It's a journey. Go ahead with the positive mindset. Right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you so much, Aarti. I'm sure, this has given a wonderful peek into what exactly NEP has been insisting on. A lot of flexibility, definitely, and no hard separations that, NEP has tried bringing in a lot of creativity, critical thinking skills, and how important ethics and values and human and constitutional values rather. Our director Pallavi ma'am believes in these 3 core skills of environment, values, and health. I think if 3 of them get bound together, it's going to be a very, very happy childhood. And further to that, children are going to fit into the big world. And with the extension of technology in the right spirit and preparing the children to face the big world with the skills that are required in this 21st century for the world ahead, I think a lot of continuous follow-up by the teaching faculty and along with the stakeholders, I think is going to lead a long way. Education definitely is a public service. And before I close, I just want to put in that learning never stops for the teachers, just like the way there is no closure for or last class for a student, and teaching definitely doesn't stop for the parents as well. And teaching learning is a process that goes hand in hand. And more we know about the learning gaps that exist in every arena, we'll be able to address them much better. Once we accept that there is a gap, only then we work towards bridging that. And teachers, joining into a network, and the sessions like the present one, which connects the parents, students, teachers, and people from all walks of life, and having continuous and professional development courses for the teachers, and students getting exposed to a lot of beyond the textbook, and using the resources within the homes. I think all this would stay plugged into the betterment in addressing the learning gaps that exist. And national policy NEP 2020 has over these 35 years has brought in all the skills that are required on a black and white form, something that we were already doing in a different format. And world was very small, where we had to travel miles together to get the training done. And today, I think a platform like this has made the world come into our own rooms and into the own classrooms. I think that makes it possible for all of us. And before I close the session and I majorly want to thank our management, our chairman, Sri M. Komraya sir, who's the chairman for DPS and Pallavi Group of Institutions, both school and colleges. And we have our director, Pallavi ma'am, who's the creative head and has taken school right into the fold and molded it the way it should, with the children having moved from the day they enter into the school, and they have bloomed into beautiful butterflies and to fly off. And yes, young and dynamic COO of DPS and Pallavi Group of Institution, Mrs. Yashasvi Malka. And yes, from a graduate from BITS Dubai and further on with ISB. I think he's paving the way. And a big thank you to our academic director, Dr. T. Sudha ma'am, who has conceptualized this Hyderabad Today conclave and given it a beautiful shape. And the present sessions on the virtual in the form of virtual conference are a stepping stone and precursor to the main international conference that is going to be held on April 15th and 16th at ISB Hyderabad. Thank you so much to all the members today. And Dr. Madhusudan has expressed his regret. He is actually in the hospital right now. He wasn't keeping well the last minute. And I thank Dr. Madhu Ved ma'am and Mrs. Rema Alex Daniel and Aarti Giridhar for taking out their valuable time and today being with us. My dear teachers, parents, students, and members from every walk of life, and being the principal of Delhi Public School, Mahindra Hills, I'm Nandita Sunkara, your moderator for the day today, and I thank my institution for giving a wonderful platform. I'm sure we've got a lot of understanding and the questions that were taken up in depth. Thank you so much. And I'm sure the knowledge that was shared today, the views that were shared today have given a wider understanding for all of us. Let us make teaching, learning a wonderful experience and be that bridge that bridges the gap. Let us all become the bridges that bridges the gap. As a parent, because you are the first teacher. As a teacher, because you become a parent in school. And dear children, because both the stakeholders and the schools exist with the child as the focus. Wishing for a very, very wonderful future for our country, and let us make human values that existed over these years on a wonderful platform that we bind the entire world together into a beautiful tomorrow. Because we don't have another planet, we don't have another earth to live. This is our only home. The world has become very small over these couple of years. Pandemic has brought kitchen into the world and world into the kitchen, and classroom into every corner of the homes, and home has reached every corner of the classroom. And I think it has taught us many, many things. We have definitely bridged a lot, but I think creating responsible citizens of tomorrow, binding the world together with that thread that wherein we bind the values is very, very important. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all. I think our evening has closed on a wonderful note. Yes, Madhu ma'am.
Only for a second, I heard the name of ISB. I got motivated, and everybody who is there. You know, my daughter, who was not good at all in the core subject, math, science, like I wanted her to be a doctor, but she never crossed 95% onwards. And I was that time, I also wanted marks. You know, now here is a message. Now she's a global leader, and the world is looking forward to her for her ancient wisdom, for her Indian skills, for her enhancement. So that's what my message to parents and everybody: just love your child, know your child. Life is very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all. Thank you to my IT department. I thank my office. I thank my vice principal, Aisudha there, who's been throughout journeying these few days along with coordination throughout. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.